I signed the papers to have my mother removed from my children's lives on a Tuesday morning, while she sat 3 chairs away from me in the courthouse pretending to cry into a tissue she didn't bother to use on the days she actually hurt people. She wore her church dress and her "I'm a good grandma" necklace and looked at the judge like she was auditioning for sympathy. I didn't look at her. I kept my eyes on the affidavits, on the screenshots, on the bank statements, on the CPS report she had filed against me that started this entire thing. The judge asked me, "Are you sure this is what you want? This is permanent." I said, "Yes, Your Honor. I am protecting my children from my mother." Behind me, my husband squeezed my hand. In front of me, my mother whispered, just loud enough for me to hear, "After everything I did for you." That was the moment it hit me how far this had gone. How 1,000 little things had turned into this, into court orders and lawyers and security notes on school files. You don't wake up one day and decide to legally erase your mother from your kids' lives. It happens inch by inch, guilt by guilt, favor by favor, accusation by accusation, until one day she calls Child Protective Services on you because you told her she couldn't post your 5-year-old's bathroom pictures on Facebook for likes. That is where it ended. But it started at a kitchen table with coupons and a mortgage and a woman who learned, very early, that if she made herself look like a martyr, everyone else would hand her their lives. My mother loved 3 things: control, appearances, and being right. She did not love people. She just needed us as props. Growing up, everyone said she was such a strong single mom. She reminded us of that every day. She told us how her father abandoned us, how she worked 2 jobs, how she never got help, how we owed her. After everything I've sacrificed, she would say when we didn't fold the towels right. After everything I've done, when we wanted to go to a friend's birthday party instead of helping her clean the house. My younger brother escaped into sports. I escaped into straight A's and scholarships. That was my biggest crime. I was the one who thought she was better. The first time the financial abuse surfaced, I was 17 applying for student loans. I sat in front of a computer with a financial aid officer and watched his eyebrows go up. "You already have a credit card," he said, "and an outstanding balance on a store card." I didn't. My mother did. In my name. "That's identity theft," the woman in the office said. My mother called it being resourceful. She said I had to. It was for school clothes. "It's all for you." She cried. She clutched her chest. She asked if I wanted her to go to jail. I backed down. I always backed down. I took out extra loans and paid off the cards she opened in my name. She called me ungrateful anyway. "You wouldn't have anything without me," she liked to say. I graduated. I moved out. I got married. My husband, Ethan, came from one of those quiet, stable families I didn't understand. His parents apologized when they were wrong. They watched their grandkids when asked. They gave us a used car and said, "You owe us nothing. Just be happy." My mother hated them on sight. She called them smug. She called them controlling. She called his mom, that woman. It didn't matter that they never raised their voices. What mattered was they existed, and they lessened her importance. When Ethan and I bought a small starter house an hour from her, she made sure everyone on Facebook knew how far away we moved. "Kids these days abandon their parents," she wrote under a photo of my U-Haul. I was 26, pregnant with our first, and driving back every weekend to fix her printer, take her to appointments, and clean out her gutters because your brother never does anything. She refused to hire anyone. She refused to downsize. Everything was always someone else's job. When our daughter, Lily, was born, my mother stepped into her new role like a crown. "My baby," she called her. Not my granddaughter. My baby. She'd snatch her from my arms when we walked in and bury her face in her neck while I stood there bleeding and sore and invisible. Every visit was a performance. Matching outfits. Photo shoots. Oversharing. She would post pictures of Lily on Facebook with captions like, "If it weren't for me, she wouldn't exist. I taught my daughter everything she knows about being a mom." If I asked her to ask before posting, she'd say, "This generation is so sensitive." Be grateful someone loves your child. It was constant. But it was normal, people said. That's just how grandmas are. Then the housing market punched us in the throat. Ethan lost his job in a wave of layoffs. I was working, but daycare for 2 kids cost more than our mortgage. We were drowning. My mother saw her opportunity. Move in with me, she said. It'll give you a chance to get ahead. We're family. That's what family is for. Ethan hesitated. That might be tense, he said gently. It's your choice, I said, because shame is heavy and options are light. We moved into my childhood home for 6 months to save money. My mother had rules. Her house, her space, her standards, but also her narrative. I took them in, she told everyone at church. They'd be homeless if it weren't for me. Never mind we paid for groceries, utilities, repairs. She'd stand in the kitchen and loudly say, "Make sure you turn off the lights. I'm paying the bills here." If Ethan cooked dinner, she'd say, "Wow, must be nice to have time to cook when someone else worked as hard as I did to get you a roof." She hated the way we parented. If I corrected my daughter gently instead of smacking her hand, my mother would say, "No wonder kids these days are weak." If we didn't force the kids to hug her, she'd say, "You're teaching them to disrespect me." She invalidated everything. Bedtimes, food choices, car seats, therapy, boundaries. If I told the kids no tablet at dinner, she'd secretly hand it to them in the kitchen and say, "Don't tell mommy, she's no fun." She told my 4-year-old, "If your mom ever leaves me alone, you can live with grandma." When I confronted her, she laughed. "Oh, stop, she knows it's a joke." My daughter didn't. She asked me later if I was going to leave her. That should have been my first hard line. Instead, I swallowed it and tried harder to keep the peace. Remember, everyone said she was helping us. We were in her house. We owed her. That was the script. But help that comes with humiliation is not help. It's leverage. The first explosion came over a photograph. Lily, at 5, had been potty training. She had one accident at nap time. My mother took a picture of her standing in a too big t-shirt, bare legs, holding a towel, embarrassed, and posted it online with the caption, "Real motherhood isn't always Instagram perfect." Grandma to the rescue. I saw it an hour later. My daughter's little body on my mother's wall, comments flooding in. "So funny. Adorable. Poor baby." My daughter saw it when my mother shoved the phone in her face and said, "Look, everybody loves you." Lily cried. "I don't want people to see," she said. I told my mother, "Take it down." Now, she rolled her eyes. "You're overreacting." "She's upset," I said. "She's a child. Nobody needs to see her like that." "I raised 2 kids," she snapped. "You think you're better than me because you read articles? Take it down." She deleted it while sighing loudly. That night, she banged cabinets, complained about walking on eggshells in my own home, and told Ethan I was turning into one of those crazy moms. The next morning, CPS showed up at our door. A welfare check. They asked to see the kids' beds, the fridge, the bathroom. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my teeth. The social worker was professional, gentle, almost apologetic. "We received a report," she said, "that your children might be living in an unsafe environment with emotionally unstable parents." The report mentioned me screaming, withholding food, isolating the kids, being paranoid and abusive about photos. It sounded like someone had taken our last argument and weaponized it. My mother stood in the hallway, hand to her chest, saying, "I'm just so glad someone came to make sure my babies are okay. My daughter has been under so much stress." CPS left without action. The house was clean. The kids were loved. But something broke in me when I read the report notes. It listed the caller as maternal grandmother. She hadn't even bothered to hide it. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. "I was worried," she said. "You're so controlling lately. You embarrass me over a picture. You called the state on me because I asked you to respect my daughter's privacy?" I asked. "If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to be afraid of," she said. If you know anything about abusive parents, you know that line. Ethan packed the kids into the car that night and took them to his parents' house for a few days. I stayed behind with my mother because I knew if I left right then, she'd spin the narrative so fast I'd never catch up. "You're ruining our family," she sobbed. "After everything I've done for you. I gave you a home. Now you're trying to turn my grandchildren against me." "You did this," I said. "You called CPS. You lied." "I didn't lie. I expressed concern," she snapped. "You embarrassed me. You humiliated me on the internet by making me take down a harmless photo. You've changed since you met him." There it was again. Him. Ethan. The scapegoat. The man who had quietly watched her erode me for years. "We're moving out," I said. "We'll figure it out." "You can't afford it," she said instantly. "You'll come crawling back. And don't think you're taking my grandbabies away from me." That sentence chilled me. Something in her tone. Possessive. Threatening. Like she owned them. Like she owned me. Ethan and I scrambled. Took extra shifts. His dad co-signed a lease. We moved into a small townhouse 30 minutes away. My mother acted like we were divorcing her. She showed up unannounced. She let herself in with the spare key she had copied without asking. If I locked the door, she pounded until the kids opened. She criticized everything. The neighborhood. The furniture. The food. "I can't believe you took them away from a real house," she'd say. "You used me and then left." She started buying the kids things we said no to. Giant toys. Loud devices. Junk food. When we tried to set boundaries, she'd say, "You're punishing me. I'm the victim here." Then came the financial nuke. Debt collectors started calling me about a credit card I had never opened. Then another. Both at my new address. Both with my name. I pulled my credit report and felt my stomach drop. There were 3 new accounts. All opened in the few weeks between us telling my mother we planned to move out and actually leaving. Same social security number. Different email. My mother's handwriting on the paper forms when I later obtained the copies. It was identity theft. Again. Only this time larger. I called her. "You opened cards in my name." She didn't even flinch. "I paid for your life. I'm owed." "That's a felony," I said. "Call the cops then," she shot back. "Tell them your poor single mother stole from you after she gave you everything. See who they believe." I didn't press charges. I should have. Instead, I added it to the pile of reasons I couldn't breathe when she was near. Ethan said, "We have to get serious. She's dangerous." I said, "She's my mom." He said, "She called CPS on you for defending your kid. She opened debt in your name. She walks into our home without asking. What else does she have to do?" The answer came 3 months later. She filed again. Another CPS report. This time, she claimed Ethan yelled aggressively, that he drank too much, he didn't drink at all, that our daughter seemed scared of going home because my mother told her, "Your mom is mad at grandma. She might hit you." It was twisted. Strategic. Designed to paint us as unstable. 2 reports in under a year meant more scrutiny, more visits, more notes on file. We cooperated. We documented everything. We told the social worker, gently, that my mother had control issues. The worker nodded in that way people do when they know they're seeing a familiar pattern but can't say it out loud. "You can also set boundaries with extended family," she said carefully. "We've tried," I said. "Try harder," she replied. That night, Ethan said, "We're done. It's no contact or this never ends." I stared at him. "I can't cut off my own mother," I said automatically. The words felt like they belonged to her voice, not mine. "She's already trying to cut you off from your kids," he said. "If one of these reports sticks, she wins. Do you understand that?" I did. Finally. It was no longer just emotional bruises. It was legal. It was my children. I wrote my mother a message. Calm. Direct. Until further notice, you are not allowed unsupervised contact with the kids. Do not come to our house uninvited. Do not call CPS again. If you are genuinely worried, call me. If you violate this, we will take legal action. She responded with a wall of text. I was ungrateful, brainwashed, cruel, a terrible daughter, a terrible mother, Grandparents have rights, she wrote. You can't keep them from me. I'll get a lawyer if I have to. And she did. That was the moment this stopped being a family issue and turned into a case file. She found some attorney who specialized in grandparents' rights and filed a petition for court-ordered visitation, claiming we were alienating her, that she had been the primary caregiver, that we were unstable, dangerous, influenced by outsiders. To support her case, she attached the CPS reports she had made against us. She used her own lies as evidence. That's the moment I snapped. I hired a real lawyer. I printed everything. The forged credit applications. The screenshots of her posts. The text messages where she admitted making the calls. The Facebook messages where she told a friend, if she won't let me see my babies, I'll make sure CPS knows what kind of mother she is. The social worker's notes that found no cause. The list of times she barged into our home, undermined rules, confused our kids. We wrote statements. Ethan's parents wrote statements. My brother, who had kept his distance for years, wrote an affidavit describing how she played victim whenever we tried to move on. Sitting in that courtroom, she looked so small and fragile to anyone who didn't know her. She dabbed at her eyes. She told the judge she only wanted to be in her grandbabies' lives. She said I had changed when I married Ethan. She said he turned me against her. She said she had concerns about our parenting. My lawyer asked her, "Did you call Child Protective Services on your daughter twice?" She said I had to. I was worried. Were the allegations substantiated? They didn't look hard enough. Did you open credit accounts in her name without permission? She told me I could use her information. She lied. Do you have that in writing? It was a verbal agreement, she snapped. After everything I've done for her. My lawyer handed the judge the forged applications, all dated right after we told her we were moving out. Did you tell your friends on Facebook? My lawyer continued, and I quote, if she wants to play games, I'll make sure CPS takes a look at her perfect little life. My mother's face went stiff. People vent, she said. The judge read in silence for a long time. Then he said, "Ma'am, what I see here is a pattern of harassment and manipulation. These reports were unfounded. These financial documents are deeply concerning. This is not a grandmother being kept from her grandchildren without cause. This is a mother who refuses to accept her adult daughter's boundaries." My mother whimpered. "They're taking my babies from me." The judge turned to me. "Do you wish to pursue a protective order and to terminate court-ordered visitation?" I looked at her, at the woman who had used my social security number, my childhood, my guilt, my children, the state, and God himself as tools. I thought of Lily's face when CPS came to our house. I thought of my son asking why Grandma told him we might not want him. I thought of Every after everything I've done for you stacked like bricks on my back. And I said, "Yes, Your Honor." He granted it. No contact. No visitation. Note on the CPS file regarding false reports. Note on the school file that she was not allowed to pick up our children. Note on our door in my mind that said, "She does not live here anymore." My mother glared at me on the way out. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "One day your kids will hate you for keeping them from me." I didn't answer, because there was nothing left to say. In the months that followed, she tried to spin the story. She told anyone who would listen at church, in the grocery store, online, that I was an ungrateful monster. She said I stole her grandkids. She said Ethan was abusive. She even posted once, "Some people forget who changed their diapers," next to a baby photo of me. People reached out. Some to shame me. Some to quietly say, "We see what she is. We're sorry you had to be the one to draw the line." I blocked her. I blocked her friends. I told my kids the truth in an age-appropriate way. "Grandma is not safe with our feelings," I said. "So, we're not seeing her for a long time." They accepted it more easily than I did. Children understand boundaries better than adults sometimes. My brother went no contact too after she threatened to make sure his girlfriend never trusted him if he didn't testify for her. Without us, my mother had no one left to control. I heard, through the grapevine, that she fell behind on her mortgage, that spending money on lawyers instead of bills caught up with her. that the church people grew tired of the drama, that one of the credit card companies finally pressed charges. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. Harsh as this ending is, there is no joy in watching the person who raised you choke on consequences you begged them to avoid. But I did feel something else. Relief. Silence. Space. One Friday night, maybe a year later, I stood in our kitchen in our small, warm townhouse, watching Ethan dance with our kids while pasta boiled on the stove. Lily laughed the unburdened laugh she hadn't had with Grandma in the house. My son tried to copy his dad's clumsy moves. Nobody was walking on eggshells. Nobody was ready to jump between Grandma and a hurt feeling. My phone buzzed on the counter. A message from an unknown number. "I'm sick," it said. "I need you. After everything I did for you, you can't leave me like this." I deleted it. Not because I am cruel, but because I finally understood the most important thing. I owed my mother nothing beyond what I had already given. I had tried for 32 years to repay a debt she invented. I had let her write checks against my sanity, my marriage, my finances, and my children. That account was closed. People hear this story and some of them say, "I could never cut off my mother. She's still your mom." And I say, yes, that was the problem. She believed that title meant ownership, not responsibility. They say, family is everything. And I say, my children are my family. My husband is my family. The people who don't call CPS on us because we set boundaries are my family. They say, "Don't you feel bad that she ended up alone?" And I say, she was never alone. She had chance after chance. She threw them away for control. The truth is harsh. I cut contact. She lost access. She lost her narrative. She lost the grandchildren she tried to weaponize. And I did not go to her house when they auctioned it. I did not comment when someone sent me a screenshot of her latest post blaming me for her life. I did what I should have done years earlier. I chose my children over her. I chose my sanity over her drama. I chose my own life. If there is a lesson in this, it is not that you should easily discard your parents. It is that some people choose their role over their relationship. My mother chose to be a victim more than she chose to be a mother. She chose control over love. She chose image over safety. She chose escalation. I chose to end it. The ending was harsh. It had to be. Because every softer ending I tried, every compromise, every second chance, was just another opening for her to push further. So yes, I sat in a courtroom and made it official. I took the one thing she thought she would always have, the ability to walk into my life uninvited, and I locked that door. And on the other side of it, I found something my mother never had. Peace.